Excuse me, as I'm live. Just double check. Excellent connection. That's a good thing. All right. Excuse me. Yep, as I'm live. Hey, Dave Knight here at Dave Knight Trading. Trade crazy. My notes got above 52K for the first time this year. I was able to be positive on the week. I have two EAs, 204 and 205. So let me bring that over. I actually came back from a loss on EA 204 today. That's why there's 77 contracts. I was trading a little bit more aggressive in EA 204. I was trading up to 7 contracts in that. 3 and 4 was my initial entry, and then I would add either to get to 7. So QuantGuard, let's pull that over. QuantGuard was working really good this week. I didn't hit anything, but it definitely, let's bring this over. It definitely worked. Notice I'm locked out, the trading locked on both of them. See if the risk template will come up. So this is the risk template that I'm running with right now, conservative on both of them. 550 daily loss limit. Profit target's really irrelevant. I'm just trying to, if it's going to run, I want to catch it. Position loss limit 275. Nothing has changed as far as that goes. Symbols, I believe I've locked out a couple. Yeah, NQU5 and NQZ5. September, I think we're in December's contract, so I can actually get rid of this one. But don't want to trade the NASDAQ in this conservative account. Maximum contract size on the conservative is 7. I actually forgot that today. I tried to trade 9 on it, and then I had started off with $28 loss because of that, because it wouldn't let me trade that, which was good. So QuantGuard was working. Advanced, I think I have no trading time restrictions. Auto lock, settings lock, the settings lock at 8 a.m. The conservative thing hits. I don't normally like to trade until 9:30, 10:30. Start looking at the markets. Normally around, on a good day, about 9 a.m. I start, some days a little after 8:30, depending upon reports. And then lock my trading at 4:30 if I didn't lock it previous to that, and then it resets it at 5 so that you can play around with your settings if you want. So the dashboard isn't working yet as far as showing profit and loss, but this was a good overall week for me, and you can see the connections and whatnot and accounts. Anyway, this is why. Well, you saw the accounts before. No, it's saying connect the account, so it must have reset itself. But we looked at it previous, and you saw the trading lock on it. Hold on a second, I need to get rid of. Well, no, I can get rid of it later. This is my trading today. I was trading 9 contracts in the sim. Everything's micros, by the way. So you notice that, let me pull this down and this one over. I took I was trading two contracts at the EA 205. Notice I was at 51,995, and I wanted to be and stay above 52,000, and I did accomplish that goal. I wish my second trade would have been on. I would have been able to stay in it a little bit longer, but overall, you know, I wanted to make sure I stayed above 52,000, so it did stop me out on a second trade, and it did go a little bit in my favor, and then it reversed. But then I locked myself out so I wouldn't fall below 52,000. So I'm less than 1,000 away on EA 205 to make that a PA. And you can see the other account is at 51,675. That's made grounds from an EA 204. So we've done, I had a losing day this week. I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday. And I made back from that. Now, this was the sim trade I took on. I was actually following Nutty Bar, his trade, but on my side, looking at it, it was a bounce at the 100th level on the 2000, and on the 1 minute chart, it bounced right here at the 50 EMA, and in the 55 and into the 86. So it was a decent trade setup, going back for the highs again on this one. So I did like the trade, and I'll tell you why I like this trade. So if we make a trend channel, and you see it bust a trend channel here, come down, formed a little move, stayed in an overall up move, and we're looking for it to retest the highs on the move up. So basically you're looking for the move to come down and move back up and one more time before it comes off of that. And it was a beautiful this time. Now notice that we got to 24,980. We did not get to 25,000. They sold it off obviously up there. They didn't want at this point in time 25,000 to be hit. Now obviously they could have run it down to the pivot and then run it to 25K or higher for the rest of the day, or it just hangs out here, or it goes down. This is the 15-minute range on the charts right here. This was the 930 to 945 move. This week, it bounced off of that right at the 945 mark. Now, I believe it did that quite a bunch of times this week. That 945 was the bottom of the market for a while, and then it went up. It comes back down here. I was actually in EA 204. I traded, or no, excuse me, EA 205. Notice that I caught the bottom there, and then it came off. So I was short here. I didn't get in till later today. So I didn't take my first trade till after 11:30 today. And I wanted the market to establish itself before I took on the trade. And I was looking for it to get below this here today, but I knew it was there. So when I took on the trade, I was looking at the market to get down and go through it. But it bounced off of it, I covered, and I believe I should have taken this move back up on this double bottom. And look at here at the 7 o'clock, look at that. And it just held the bottom 15-minute range, pretty much held all morning. This was a really good setup. I could actually call it, I was thinking it was a double bottom when I was looking at it earlier, but honestly, it was a triple bottom. Maybe even a quadruple bottom, right? Depending upon what you're looking at. But it went back down here. Here's a 1 minute charts showing you here that it moved above it at 713. It formed a little bottom here at 755, went up, came back down at the 945 mark, and came back down one more time at the 1137 mark, and went back up. Now we're trading at pivot. So market wasn't as easy to read, I believe, as well. I should have done a lot better, but I obviously limited myself on one of my counts because I wanted to stay above the 52,000 mark and look. This I've been quite happy making about either losing about 250 or making 250 to 300, 2 to 300. So I actually lost one on 205 this week. I was down about, on one of my days I was down about 400. So I was in my last trade setup, and if it would have went down to minus 550, I'd have lost that and it would have locked me out. I got to about, I think it was about down 375, and I made back to 218 that day, plus commission cost. It was about $250 loss. I had a $150 win this week. I had a $200 something win this week. And notice today I just barely made money, but I did get above the 52,000. It was real tempting yesterday to try to take on one more trade. I didn't. I had a $234 winning session yesterday off of 3 trades in EA 205, and I stopped trading because it was it was time to call it a day at that point. I was very patient in my trade setups yesterday, and today I didn't take a trade until 11:30 mark. So I kind of waited around for one trade because I wanted to get above 52,000, and that worked. Now I've got to work my way into, and I wanted a positive week. I wanted to end on a positive session. EA 205 or 204, I had a lot more trades, and you can see me trying to take trades on this up move. I was shorting, I believe I tried to short it at the pivot, covered, and I was going long through here, and this is the trade. That's the trade I took in Sim right there. Yeah, this one here was the Sim trade. I guess they're all Sim, but this is Sim 101. EA 204, yeah, EA 205, I'm paying at Apex. So in a nutshell, that was basically my week. Go to the 15-minute range. And this is what the market looked like. There's all my levels that I had on the charts. And I usually, when I'm putting levels on, I've got my, I go back to the 240 that I put on the chart. I go back, I try to look at 9 trading days. I've noticed that 12 days allows the market to show at least the 9 days if I put 9 days in the data. So this was the low and also the high. The high was right there at on October 9th. Then we had the 1,200 point move on that Friday. We attempted to come down 2 times this week on October 14th. And what was this today, October 17th? Yeah, we tried to come back down today a little bit, looks like, right? That was at 6 in the morning. So I don't trade at the overnights, but that's a beautiful setup coming down there. This is the 240-minute, 4-hour chart. If we go and look at the hourly chart, there's that move from 11 o'clock last night, it looks like, to 5 in the morning low. Just back here was that 12, that was the week prior low on Friday of last week, where we went down 1,200 points on the futures contract. So you can see on looking at the hourly chart, October 14th, and we went a little bit lower than we were on the 14th, and it bounced off of that. That could be a good signal as far as longs into next week, I suppose. But we are trading in this range. It's a pretty big range, right? Looking at the range, roughly 24,500 to 24,105. So it's about a 500, 600 point range right now. And that's also being reflected in my spreadsheet too, by the way. So if I look at what I'm trading, if I'm going to 3 contracts, let me edit this and bring it up. Let's talk about this a little bit. Your risk parameters. As I put on the trade now, I don't want to take this loss, 120, 130, 140. But if you look at here, I moved off the 3R this week to the 2R because it was closer to 100. I didn't want to take 180, 190, 200 loss. Yesterday, I think it was a little bit lower. Today, it was a little higher. But 120, 130, 140, that's initial setup. And then I moved the stop loss closer to the market. I get to break even quickly. I want an accelerated move from my setup. I got a couple of them yesterday. Today I didn't get any accelerated move to move to break even. So I went to break even quickly and was stopped out quickly as well. So I had 2 contracts on when I was trading EA 205 today. Notice that if I look at this is how I set up the 2 contract move. So notice the 120, 130. And my profit targets, I really put them out there. 9p at 812, 12p at 1082. So I want it way out of the way, and then I can adjust the profit targets as the trade develops. And that's how I end up getting the $200 winners and whatnot, is that I've got a higher profit target, and usually that that first target's well out, and it usually the stop trailing behind it takes me out. A lot of times I trail with the 21 EMA or the 9, excuse me, whatever that one is, the 9 EMA, I believe, and I take a lot of stops at the 21 EMA when I have a really good trade, or if it really moves quickly fast, then I move to the 9 EMA. And if it justifies staying in it, then I move back. So like for instance, if I was in this trade here and taking this one down, I would move a lot closer to where the red bars are, knowing that this broke through all kinds. Look at that, that broke through all kinds of support coming down on that day. All these support levels weren't on the charts then. That came after the fact. But if you look at this week, we basically traded in a range. It was a 500, 600 point range, but it was a range. And you could make money in the middle of it. So that, in a nutshell, was my week. Let's see here, let's see where I am on time related today. As I don't really have much to talk about outside of what I just talked about there. So let me move, oops. Move that out of the way so you can see that down move on Friday. So you can see the range that we're talking about, and on my support and resistance lines, the green signifies the high and the low, and the orange-red levels are levels that seem to coordinate with the 60-minute chart, and then the 15-minute chart levels, and also the highs of whatever we're looking at for the day inside a range. I think all I want to talk about right now. Yeah, let's call it. So this is Dave Knight at Dave Knight Trading. Trade crazy here. I think it says David Knight 33 on the YouTube, but if you go YouTube /Trade Craze, you can find my channel as well. But thank you if you're watching this video. You're already a member. I don't have a lot of viewer count anymore like I did in the past. That's okay. different phase of my life right now. I'm just trying to keep up with my weekly video to let you know where I am. So we're slowly trudging to get to a PA. That's my goal. I want to get to that PA, make that PA, take that one, get a payout on it, and then work to get the second PA. I'd like to already had that PA set up in October. It's just taking a lot more time. I'm happy where I'm as far as looking at the market. I'll go to 60-minute, like I showed you the 244-hour chart, 15-minute with the 15-minute range. That's the yellow line that you see there, dash dot dot and the dash dot. I move on the trading day. I'll look between the 2000. Once I'm set up and I understand where I want to be, I look at the 5-minute chart, the 1-minute chart, and the 2000 tick chart, and I make my trading decisions based upon that right now. Nothing's set in stone. I'm just squirrel after a nut right now, learning to. I threw out pretty much everything that back in August, and I just rebuilt myself to where I am right now. And I've decided to be conservative and slowly build to get the EA to PA. The goal, once again, eventually, I'd love to be able to trade 10 PAs as an overall. I'd like to get to at least 1 to 2 PAs before this year's out. Maybe, I don't know if I'll get there, but I'm definitely looking to continue moving forward so that I can take, I'm at Apex, so all of this is with Apex. I've been with Apex now, I think 4 or 5 years after I left Top Step. Once again, that's about it. That's really all that's going on in my life. Kids are playing football. One's graduated and the other one's still playing football for Cal. They're in a 2-loss right now in a row, so we're hoping homecoming game for a win against Clarion this week. And that's about it. Got my mom in for a while. She's heading back to Tennessee on Monday, so I'm not trading. I won't be trading on Monday of next week, and I'll trade the rest of the week as far as I know. All right, talk to you later. Dave.